So I'm not a big Facebook guy. And what I mean is I don't spend a lot of time scrolling the Facebook feeds. I find it usually makes me more upset than happy. If we're talking about social media, of course, I spend time on it just like everybody else, but TikTok is my jam. If I'm going to go out there and burn some time, it's going to be TikTok. But the other day, I was looking through the Facebook feed and I came across an interesting post, one that caught my attention. And I believe I'm crediting this post correctly. I think it was a gentleman by the name of Ace Reddy, who I don't personally know, but I've seen him on Facebook for years. And I know Dave Sharp, who is the CEO of Legendary Marketer, and I'm acquainted with. I know they know each other and have a relationship. So the reason I bring that up is to hopefully provide some context of the thought behind the post and the fact that it comes from someone who maybe a reputable marketer, is probably a pretty good guy from what I can tell, but more importantly, has been in the industry for quite some time and seen a fair amount of success and helped other people over the years. And what he is saying, the post, I'm going to kind of paraphrase it for us today, Andrei. Okay. And then we can talk about it. Does that sound good?
Sounds perfect, man.
All
Let's
right,
get going.
great.
Let's get
Yeah, let's
going.
jump. Let's jump right into it. Now, I'm happy to be back. On the podcast. We were filming a day late because yesterday I had some incredible storms come through North Texas, and we're all fine. But we were losing power briefly, intermittently, as they were trying to bring people back onto the grid. So the internet was unreliable. So you posted this week's episode, and we're doing this a day late. So I appreciate you, Andrei. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, of course. That's the beauty of having a partner, somebody that you can rely on as well. Same for me. Remember when I had like that emergency, you were able to be there, show up for the guests. So it's great to have a partner in this, but man, that's crazy. Big storm in Dallas, huh?
Yeah, it was we were woken up at I think it was 5:58 a.m. with the tornado siren going off, which is not too far from our house. And so we were huddled in the bathroom with the dog and not knowing what's going on. And finally we figured out the tornado siren was going off for high winds, 70 and 80 mile an hour winds, which can cause some significant damage. We
Yeah.
were lucky to avoid most of the trouble, probably most notably because all of our trees have already blown down. So not a big deal anymore. But yeah, there's definitely some significant trees down in the neighborhood, and I know some people are still without power. So we hope they get it back as soon as possible, and hopefully nobody was severely injured.
Yeah, yeah, and that's scary. I mean, getting woken up by a siren at 5 in the morning, I don't know, like natural disasters, like they just terrify me because what can you do? There's nothing you can do about it. It's just gonna happen. And how do you even prepare for that? Like I don't know what to do if something like that happens. You get me? So
I
it's
mean,
fucking
really,
scary.
it's out of your hands, man. It's just like digital marketing. Sometimes things happen that are out of your hands, and luckily with digital marketing, it rarely results in potential death or injury. You just have to postpone a podcast. But yeah, so everything's good. Appreciate you again. But let's get back into today's topic. So this post that I saw caught my attention, and it started with a little backstory of usually norms in the industry, meaning that if you're a digital marketer and you're giving away a lead magnet that's free, for example, maybe it's a free course, a free training, the implementation on that, meaning the people who opt in to get that free thing, the implementation is usually pretty low because people, at least the way the industry has been touting this over the years, is that people who opt in for freebies are freebie seekers and they're not willing to take action, whereas the people who pay attention. So that's been considered a common norm in the industry. And then as you go up the ladder, right, if someone opts into a $37 product, implementation might go up a little bit, but we know from promoting Legendary Marketer and the old $7 Business Builder challenges, people can spend $7 all day, but rarely do a large percentage of people actually implement on the training they purchased. Well, the common consensus has always been high ticket buyers are the best clients because if someone pays $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 to a program, they're going to implement, they're going to do the work, they're going to be great students, and they're going to put in and take action. But he was arguing that that's not even the case. He has seen from his programs and his clients' programs that people are buying into $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 programs and not even implementing on them. Maybe for a week, maybe two, but they're not seeing them through. So his argument was we are entering a phase in the digital marketing era and the entrepreneurship era where people literally just want something for nothing. So that's what we're going to talk
Mm.
about today. Are we feeling that? Because I'm starting to feel that a little bit as well. How about you, Andre?
Yeah, and isn't it a little frustrating? You get me? Somebody that, I mean, you're kind of giving all the answers, right? You're giving them information that they can apply for and utilize it. But doesn't at that point doesn't it get a little frustrating when you're giving people the formula to make money online or whatever you're doing, right? And they're not doing it. I think it blows my mind and it gets me frustrated as well. Just because people don't take advantage of everything or the information, right? We're in 2024 and we're in the information booming, right? Information is selling like crazy and people are buying. But without the implementation, nothing's gonna happen.
That's exactly right. And I used to feel that same frustration because I've been running programs for years. And now I've switched a little bit because I know there are people out there who want to buy the right thing and get in there and do the work. And I see that through my group coaching program. And I try to focus more now on the people that do show up every week versus the people who
Hmm.
don't show up. But yeah, I used to feel that same frustration. And let's be clear, some of this is on the product creator. If you don't create a product that has value that keeps people engaged, some of that is your fault. But I don't think that's the angle we're going to take today because what it really feels like is that people want to buy the money, meaning
Yeah.
show me what to buy that makes me money. And it's just not the case. I mean, you can go out there and buy a successful restaurant or a successful car wash or whatever business you want to visualize in your head right now. You can go out there and buy it. But if you don't continue to operate it in the right way consistently, it's not going to stay profitable, right? Yes, maybe you can, impart some sort of management team that'll run it for you, but you still have to then put money into that management. So
Yeah.
there is no business in the world that's going to allow you to buy a solution and then profit from it without further effort. And I don't know if it's the masses coming to the market where, it's not just eager, hungry self starters who want a business. It's just folks who finally realize you can make money online and want to profit from it, but they don't have the mindset going in that it's going to take work. I don't know. It caught my attention because I think a lot of people who are in the leadership space, like yourself and some of my students who have transitioned over into the leadership space are feeling the same thing. It's like, I mean, if you don't want to do this, don't do it. But if you do, let's go all in.
Right. And for your example, you have a free course in the beginning. So let's break it down. Let's go through the thing. Let's go through the free course, the $7, and then let's go to the high ticket, right? So when somebody buys your free or when somebody enters your free course, right? What are you seeing from the people? Are they completing it just because it was free, or you think they're just opting in, creating their account, and then they just probably log out, or they just skim through the information instead of actually paying attention to what you're saying? What have you found out?
Yeah. So what I feel is that when I'm looking at, engagement, open rates following and stuff like that, I feel like people come into the free course, and there's two types of people coming to the free course. People come into the free course and say, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This brought me so much clarity." And usually those folks will go through it within the first 24 hours because for reference, my free course is 90 minutes, right? So those
Mhm.
people, you can always tell, like on day two, like the next day after they opt in, those are the folks who are reaching out, thanking me, maybe a follow up question here and there, or just showing their appreciation for what they learned, and that happens fast. And that coincides with the open rates because obviously, when someone opts into the free course, I have an automation series that sends out emails. And day one open rates, meaning when people opt in, are great. Over
Mhm.
50%. Day two open rates, someone might opt in and not have time to go through the 90-minute free course and then think about, I'll do it tomorrow, and they log back in. Those open rates are great, somewhere in the high 40%, 48, 49%. But by day three, you can see it starts to drop down where it's okay. Now we're in 35%. And so the drop off is pretty significant as far as attention. And I get that maybe people have extracted their value and are looking for the next free thing, which I'm totally fine with, by the way. If you want to invest, do it. If you don't want to invest, that's fine as well. I just hope I can teach you something. But it's almost like people will opt in and expect to have all the answers in 90
Mm-hmm.
minutes. And if they do, they're appreciative and they probably buy something for me down the road. But let's be honest, you've been a digital marketer for 3, 4 years now. You're not going to get all the answers in 90 minutes. You might get a lot of clarity and you might have new focus, but you're not going to get all the answers. And I feel like the people who don't get all the answers or don't realize they can jump in, push a button, and start printing cash, it's almost like they lose interest and then go search for the next thing that's going to promise them that, which, as we know, will usually lead to disappointment.
Yeah. So it's almost like the instant gratification, right? We're always seeking it, and as soon as we don't get it, we end up quitting, maybe, or looking for the next thing. But there's also people that purchase a bunch of courses, but they're just looking for the one thing as well, right? The one thing that he can show me. Let's say you are a great storytelling person, and then you suck at it, but this person has a course about it, maybe, or inside their course they teach storytelling. So maybe you buy that person's course just to learn that module that you have about storytelling, because they see who you are, how you talk. So there's also those people that are just trying to level up their skills by getting a few things that, because they're seeing you talk, they're seeing you teach, and they want to learn just that one thing, right? But those are probably more seasoned marketers out there.
Mhm.
But as a complete beginner, I feel like they're not being like aggressive about it, or maybe they're not um paying attention, or I don't know how to say it. They're not fully focused on what this opportunity can do for them. I think that's the best thing that I can say, right? Especially for a free course, I think I don't know if I will finish a free course if I ever bought it, to be honest, or if I ever opted in or created an account. You get me?
Right. Yeah. And I think, to be clear, the point of this episode is not to complain about students by any means. I think the point of this episode is to have a very real conversation about what your life is going to look like after you decide to go for it. And
Yeah.
the reason I wanted to bring this up today is I want to help people kind of self audit their goals, because that's important. You have to. There's a lot of distractions out there on the internet, and if we close out one program and then go look at another program, it's going to promise all the stuff in the world. For example, this morning I got an email, somebody asking me about some software that's supposed to solve all their problems, and obviously I didn't know anything about it. And I did a little research, and it's just another piece of software that's promising the world. But at the end of the day, if the messaging, if the storytelling, if the connection isn't there on social media before you implement this new piece of software, it's going to provide the same results as any stand store, ClickFunnels, System.io. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So now let's say you actually purchase something, right? If you actually purchase something, yeah, it does feel like, okay, I spend money on this. The least I can do is finish it, right? So now that mindset will be, yeah, I'll have to finish it. But now the other question is, am I gonna implement what I learned? You get me? And I think that's what we're talking about today, right? Like implementing what you're learning with a let's say a low ticket product. Yeah, I'll probably finish it. You get me? Which I have in the past. And of course, the position that I implemented everything because of the situation that I was. I was laser focused. I had no other options, so I made it work. But a lot of people, they just maybe find out there's a high ticket program in the back end, and as soon as that comes to the surface, they just get like triggered down, right? They're like, okay, no, their defenses come up, and now they don't want to finish it or implement everything that they were learning. So that's another, I guess, barrier that happens when you actually purchase a low ticket product.
Yeah, it's almost like, oh, why would I go through all this low ticket stuff if I know I'm still going to need the high ticket stuff in order
Yeah.
to be successful? And that's not really the way it works, though. And I think that's an important part of the conversation here today is any information you extract will have an impact on your overall business. For example, let's take Legendary Marketer, for example. Now they have the $5 5-day challenge. If you
Hmm.
opt into that, you can increase your odds of success just by going through the free course and totally forgetting about the back end program. The back end program is just going to be probably a different experience and a more in depth walk through certain concepts, additional information that will help you kind of see all the pieces that go into running a significant online business. We're not talking about making $1,000 a month here, but to run a significant business that produces consistent results. That's what you'll find in the back end program, but that doesn't mean there's value or there's not value in the $7 program or the $5 program either. So you have to look at them as individual programs, not one piece of an entire solution, I think. Is that fair?
Yeah, and it's almost like when somebody buys a low ticket product, it's almost like they personally feel like they're not getting all the answers or they're not getting all the information, because I remember when I first was creating a program, not my Spanish program. This was like back in 2021 before the mastermind. Remember we had a Zoom meeting and I reached out to you
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to. It's the first time we actually talked one to one, and I wanted to learn about a membership area on ClickFunnels. Do you remember that
I do.
call?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
So we had that call, right? And one of my questions was, how much information should I put in the beginning area of it, or like how much information should I give these people? You get me, for the membership area that I was creating at the moment. I never did it, but I just wanted to learn how to do it. You get me? And I asked you the question. You were like, dude, just put all the information there, all the information that you can give. Just put it there in the membership area. That way people know what you're trying to teach and everything, all the answers basically, right? But that was one of my questions, like most people think that just because it's a low ticket, all the answers are not there. But in reality, it's like a broad answer where you can investigate on your own and find all the little clues to get you started, I guess, and for you to launch, right? And that's exactly what I did with the legendary $7 15-day challenge that they used to have. I went through it. I was still lost, but I went and I did my own research and I researched a new funnel builder, I researched email marketing. I think I did a template on Aweber. That was my first funnel ever. You get me? Not even with my domain name, it was just Aweber. I did a template. I think, well, it was a landing page for
Mm-hmm.
my funnel. That's how I did it, with a sign up sheet. And I made it work with that. I ended up making money. And after that, I was able to afford ClickFunnels, which was 97 a month. So little things like that. Either you want it or you don't. Either you are there to look for the information or you're not, right? If you are lost, you can find information out there. You get me? That when you pay for a course, it gives you so much ideas. It gives you like I said, like a broad info type of information for the course, but you can look for the answers if you get stuck somewhere. You don't need somebody to tell you. You don't need a mentor to tell you the right answer, or if it is right or wrong. You can look for the answers, but most people, they think everything is there already. So I don't know. That's just what happens too with a low ticket offer with a back end high ticket.
Yeah, and I think the low ticket is more of like just helping you understand what you don't know. And what I mean by that is when you start this, you want to go make some money online or whatever, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, you can look at a
Mhm.
beginner literally, and I'm just thinking from my experience back in the day, when I started Googling stuff and YouTubing stuff and all that, I was like, I was looking for a business model. Like I didn't even have any idea of different business models that you could implement online with relative ease. So that was my first start. And then once I settled on affiliate marketing, it's like, okay, now how do you do affiliate marketing, right? So
Yeah.
it was like I had gotten the clear path at least, like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I got to drive traffic either through search or discovery and get people pre-framed about a product and then send them over to a product sales page. Okay, now I'm starting to understand that. Now, how do I do that? Right. And that's the value of free courses. Like, well, let's give you the plan, right?
Hmm.
Let's make sure you at least come out of this knowing what you don't know, so you don't spend the next 3 months going down the YouTube, search cycle of
Yeah.
death or whatever you want to call it, right?
And that's the thing, right? Like I rather get information from a free course than going on YouTube, to be honest. You get me? Like, cause then YouTube is just gonna go round and round and round, and there's so many videos, so many people teaching the same things, and it's just like, yeah, they're not wrong, but it's just like I'm just more confused because he said one thing and then he said the other thing. So you get me? So if you're clearly focused on something, it's better to just do it with the program, I think, instead of going to YouTube.
Yeah, because what we've said in the past is it's frustrating to hear, I'm sure, as a beginner, but everything works. Like everybody who's out
Mm-hmm.
there telling you something for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there's some bad folks who just want find something that sounds sexy so they can push it. But for the most part, I mean, everything does work. I think back to the Shopify days and the drop shipping days. It's like, do I need a branded store? Do I need a niche store? Do I need a one product store? These were a lot of the things that people were talking about. And of course, everyone who's selling their one product store course is saying, well, branded stores don't work because. And everybody who's got a branded store says niche stores don't work because, and one product stores, you're leaving money on the table and all this stuff. And everyone's going back and forth trying to discredit the other guy's things so people will buy their course. Well, guess what? All of them work. They all work. They've all worked. People have
Mm-hmm.
made millions of dollars with all those products. Same thing with, every MRR product that's out there right now. Same thing with every affiliate marketing model out there. People have made money with all of them. It's just you have to find one and see it through to completion.
Exactly, exactly. So now let's move to a high ticket product. You get
Hmm.
me? Just out of the back, boom, $2,000. And I know it's hurting a little bit. A $6,000 product. You're like, should I buy this? Is this gonna give me results? And then you finally purchase it, right? Yes, 100%. I'm gonna finish that course. You get me? And 100%, I'm gonna implement that course. And that's just speaking from me. But there are people that still don't do it. You get me? I've been to these high ticket programs and see the commodity. Is that how you say it?
The
You
commodity.
see how people act. Yeah, exactly. You see how people act. You see how people interact, and they don't have the right attitude. It's like they shouldn't have paid for the high ticket program. Coming inside the program because they thought they were gonna look for the answers that they were gonna get, and they ended up not getting those answers in that program that they purchased thousands of dollars. So that can happen as well. Personally, I'll finish the course, I'll implement it, but it doesn't mean that's gonna get me results. You get me? If I'm not focused.
And that's 100% it. Like you said, I think before we started this episode, it's like it really is on the person, right, who buys into it. It's just like it's really on the person who gets the college degree. I mean, you can go to college for 4 or 5 years and never do anything that with your degree, like myself. You know what I mean? Because I didn't implement on my degree. Now, luckily it seems like it's working out and it was a good decision long term. But in the short term, I didn't implement on my degree. I didn't use it, right? I
Hmm.
went into the restaurant
Yeah.
industry, and that's fine. But I'm not sitting here saying my college degree was worthless. You know what I mean? I might say, hey, there are paths that worked better for me, but I'm not
Hmm.
here saying college is a scam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. If you buy into a program, you buy into a course, it's going to take work to go through it, right? You're going to get in there and it's like, okay, I got to build a funnel. Let me follow this training. Okay, that was hard. Well, going to college is hard too. I remember my freshman year, I jumped straight into calculus two, and I was like, oh my God, this is impossible, right? I got to change my major.
Yeah.
But it's not the payoff. It's just the process, right? The process is hard, but to get the payoff,
Yeah.
it's hard too. It's all going to be hard. We're trying to do something magical by pull money out of the internet from anywhere in the world. That's a beautiful thing. And I feel like it needs the respect that something that amazing should garner. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is going to be significantly more difficult than I want it to be, but that's okay.
Hmm. But by then, people assess what they have done. You get me? If you purchase something and you actually try it out, it might not work, right? But then you assess it and you're like, okay, this is not for me, right? We get those people all the time. They purchase something, they go through it, and they're like, okay, I'm done. Otherwise, I'm not gonna purchase the high ticket, or I'm not gonna buy the system IO or the click funnels or the A waivers. I'm not gonna do that because I realize that that's not for me, and that's perfectly fine. But the people that just they just buy and buy and buy and buy and they don't implement, and they're still looking for the next thing. They're in a cycle of just repeating the same thing. They're not focused. They're just going around and around and around. And unfortunately, those people they're just gonna stay like that, and they're gonna keep doing it like that as well.
Yeah, and let's look at what you just said about buying into something and realizing it's not for you. There's still a ton of value in that because what's going to happen is you're going to buy into something, maybe low ticket, maybe mid ticket, and you're going to go through it in, let's say, a week, maybe two, maybe 3 days, depending on the program. And then in 3 days or a week or 2 weeks, that's not for you. Well, then you just have gained tremendous value of time saved, meaning now you're not going to sit on the sidelines wondering if this is for you for the next 3, 4, 5 months. And that's
Hmm.
really the battle we're trying to fight here is, okay, how can I accelerate my results? And that's the only thing a course does is accelerates your results. So even if you go into a low ticket program and realize, oh, affiliate marketing is not for me, or master resale rights is not for me, or drop shipping is not for me, at least you saved yourself a ton of time. Meaning now after 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, you can start looking for the next potential possible solution. And now we're not suggesting that you should continue to do that. Eventually you should settle on one thing and figure out how to make it work. But the bottom line is now you're on to the next thing within a matter of days instead of a matter of months. And believe it or not, that's going to accelerate your results.
Yeah, like I said, you're getting some type of information that you were looking for. You might not find it, but at least that information was valuable. You get me? I've also bought programs where I didn't like, to be honest. You get me? But I still learn from it, and I learned from the mentor, and I learned, and I got a little things out of out of everything, basically, right? Like it's like squishing the lemon, right? You try to get all the juice out, as much juice as you can get out of whatever position that you put yourself in, because you're the one purchasing it. So now, Brian, how do we fix that? How do we you know, get people to complete something? How do we get people to finish what they start and implement, of course?
That's a great question. That's the $1 million question because I think at the end of the day, all these course creators, we're thinking about sales copy and BSLs and webinars, and we're trying to make more sales and recruit more affiliates if you have that, or make sure that, but at the end of the day, I think every course creator wants the same thing, and that's results for the students because nothing is going to give you a bigger boost to your buzz, so to speak. So, plus we're all pretty good people. I mean, I've met a lot of digital marketers, and believe it or not, there's some of the best people in the world, and there's some of the most caring people. And you just don't get into teaching unless you care about helping other people. So that is the question. How do you get the results, or get people to strive for the results for a long enough period of time? And that's what we're all looking to figure out, because I've implemented twice weekly coaching, and that definitely helps. It creates a sense of
Mm-hmm.
community where people know that they can show up and there's going to be people to talk to. And sometimes it's sharing ideas, and sometimes it's sharing strategies, and sometimes it's asking questions, but other times it's simply venting. This isn't working,
Yeah.
or I feel like the market's changing, or we're entering a new era of social media with algorithms. And it's just, I think it's helpful to get stuff out there because that is the battle we fight internally. Can be a very solitary journey if you're trying to sit in your office or your basement or your kitchen table and try to go it alone. Sometimes it just helps to talk to people, and
Yeah.
it kind of re-energizes you. And I say that about this podcast. I look forward to this every week because no matter what's going on, when I sit here and can just talk about digital marketing and get some ideas off my chest and share things, and and it re-energizes you. So I think maybe that's the thing that helps the most is how do you keep the motivation going and the energy up when the results aren't going to come in the beginning, right?
Yeah, I think the for me at least the best way to put it is you want to make them feel like they're not alone, right? And how do we do that? With our coaching, we have our coaching, we make them feel that they're not alone. A community also helps a lot on its own, because right now I have a school community, everybody's there just giving feedback and helping everybody. If somebody has a question, somebody can easily answer to that question. Now, another thing that I have, at least for my program, I have a coaching mentoring. I have a coach basically that teaches people every Wednesday for the low ticket. You get me? It's an hour Q&A, and he's there answering any questions. In the beginning there was only like 5 people, 10 people. Now we got like over 30 people in those calls, just asking questions. You get me? And another thing that I can say about a course creator like myself is I learned how to follow up with people as well. For example, I have the way you have your program set up, at least mine is a 5-day challenge as well. So now what I'm implementing is, which I learned by making mistakes, of course, is um, every day I'm just, instead of selling, I'm just teaching, sending emails. This day one, I'm teaching this. This is what you're gonna find in this video. Same with day two, day three, day four, day five. So now I'm making people go back to the training every single day as soon as they purchase. You get me? So it's not like, okay, they purchased, all right, you're on your own, do it yourself, right? Now they're getting follow up every single day, emails about it. You're gonna get this, you're gonna learn this. Oh, hey, I haven't seen you on day three, go back to day three and finish the training where I'm talking about the niches, I'm talking about the programs that you can find for affiliate marketing. Like now I'm doing more follow up, I guess you can say, exactly for that reason, so people can complete the training and get to at least day five, because that's important. Um, like you say, it happens all the time. People buy and they never finish it. So now I'm tweaking it. I'm doing little things here and there, and it's working right now. People are loving the emails, and they're more like reminders.
Mhm.
Reminders. Hey, don't forget, it's your third day. It's time to start third day. And move forward to the fourth, and so on.
Right. And I mean, that's a perfect example of what a courses are doing. It's like these course creators like yourself, like other people, we're realizing that people are struggling with implementation and staying motivated and seeing things through. So we're actually creating systems and processes to help people go through because A, of course, that helps our back end sales, but B, that we're doing whatever possible to help increase implementation. So the question is, what's changing, right? It will go back to that Facebook post I read. Why are people not going through and implementing even on high ticket programs seemingly as much as they used to? Is it too much distraction? Is it social media changing our attention spans? Like what do we think is the problem?
Well, definitely the distraction. That's always been a problem. Too much noise out there. I feel like the algorithms, sometimes they do more harm than good. You get me? Because yeah, as soon as you start liking something from somebody about one video, you're gonna get other videos, right? And you might not agree with everything else, but then that's already getting you thinking. And I think the algorithms, it could be your best friend, of course, if you're going viral, but also if you're trying to do market research, or if you're just out there, you get me, random person on TikTok, you downloaded the platform and you're just trying to scroll and not even looking for a business, and then you get feed, drop shipping. Of course you're gonna go research, you might try it, and then what's gonna happen? Oh, affiliate marketing. You might try it, you might get results, you might quit your job, you might become a mentor, you might get a podcast. You get me? Like you never know what's gonna happen. But I mean, did I just buy a program and I didn't implement? No, I implemented and I learned the skills, and then the more doors started opening up. So you
Yeah.
never know what's gonna happen unless you implement it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Is you have to see something through 100% before you decide whether it's going to work or not. And y- I guess the best thing you can do is when you decide to go forward with something, put your blinders on and go all in, because that's exactly what's going to happen with the algorithms is you're going to get fed something new the moment you get into the affiliate marketing circle, so to speak, where you're doing your research, you're getting more information from different creators about affiliate marketing. You're also, the algorithms just want to keep you online. So the algorithms know they're also going to feed you stuff that discredit that and show you something else. So you go down another research rabbit hole. And
Yeah.
that's what you have to get yourself out of. And that's where a mentor can really help. But that's where you have to get yourself out of, because I talked about that email I got earlier today where someone reached out to me and they asked my opinion about this new software. And if you look at the language that she used, she says, "What do you know about this software, this new software that everybody's promoting?" And it gave me a
Mm.
little like chuckle because I had never heard of it, right?
What is it? I want to know about it.
It's called Redirect, and I don't know if it's some software that's white labeled on the back of Go High Level, or if it's a custom build
Probably,
or
yeah.
something like that. I have no idea. I didn't do that much research. But when I started doing my research, because I wanted to give her the best answer I could, it was hard
Mm.
to find creators who were promoting this thing. And I did find one creator who was promoting this Redirect software because I'm sure they have an affiliate program. And what was interesting is she wasn't even using it. She was promoting it, but she
Hmm.
was still using Beacons or Stan, or I think it was
Mm.
Beacons, which is just another link tree type software. And it was amazing to me because here she is. I'm sure she's seeing it everywhere because she got into the algorithm somehow.
Yeah.
And one person in that algorithm promotes it, another person does, and then before you know it, your feed looks like everybody's talking about it. Yet I've never heard about it, and I even had trouble discovering information about it. So it's not that many people promoting it. So that's what I
Yeah.
ultimately said is, hey, I don't know anything about it. I didn't see a whole lot of people promoting it. All I did see was people promoting it who weren't even using it. So I would just wait, keep doing what you're doing. And then if this software becomes, you know, unavoidable, it can't be ignored, then maybe it's got some legs. Because that was my whole uh, process that I went through. I'm a ClickFunnels guy for quite a while now. I started seeing a lot of people talking about System IO. And this was
Hmm.
quite a few years ago, maybe 21. And my initial thought was not, oh, look at this great software that's so much more inexpensive than ClickFunnels. My first thought was, what's this cheap knockoff? You know what I mean? And I just
Yeah.
avoided it for a while. And then it became unable to be ignored, meaning people started using it. People were happy with their results. And so I did my research at that point and I tested and I was like, hey, this is a pretty good viable solution. So then I rebuilt some share funnels and templates that I have on System IO so people could then get into the game using a much more inexpensive software. But I waited is the point of that story. I didn't just jump on
Yeah.
the next shiny thing. I waited till it proved itself in the market. And I think that's uh, part of putting your blinders on and going in with what you're doing because everything works.
Exactly. That's what the same thing I did with System IO. I mean, guys, the first software that I used was Groove Funnel, okay, for my funnels, and it was a pain in my, you know, like it was just horrible. Like every day, I myself needed to opt into my own funnel in order to see that everything was working,
Just make sure something
right?
didn't
So it was.
break.
Exactly, and things were breaking on a weekly basis. You get me? One day it was working, one day I would get a message, and by then I was going viral. I was going viral on Instagram when I first blew up, and then what some people were messaging me, "Hey, I can't go in your website," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like so I started going, and then after that I realized, okay, I need to stop being cheap. I guess you can say with quotation marks. You get me? Because I was running a business, I needed to make those sales. So I made the switch to ClickFunnels and became an affiliate for ClickFunnels. And I ended up getting more out of just GrooveFunnels. You get me? But just things like that, you find loopholes, I guess, that it's for you to run your business, and eventually you can move forward to the next softwares. And that's exactly the same with System.io. I didn't personally liked it just because it was just, oh, it's another software that is making me do the same things. But then when I ended up having my Spanish market, I had to learn System.io just because I needed people to get going, right? Most people can't afford a 97 a month like myself when I first started. So I needed to find a software that was reliable, a free software, right? Because GrooveFunnels was also free, but it wasn't reliable. You get me? So now with this System.io software, it was reliable. They had a great support system in multiple languages. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed. And guess what? I went on it. I purchased it because I ended up paying for it. I did my templates there. I started learning it because I had no idea about it. I started looking at tutorials on YouTube. I started figuring out messing it up with the funnels, the campaigns, the workflows because that was new. ClickFunnels, you don't have that. You just link it to Aweber and you're done. So all of that I had to learn. It took me less than a month to learn it, and then guess what? I started doing my tutorials about it in Spanish, and then they became the main modules in my course now. You get me? So you have to keep learning and implementing. And if I had a closed mind, I would have made those trainings about System.io, and I would just kept with whatever thought it was perfect, right? So you have to have an open mind to some softwares, I guess. It was cool, right? At first, I was like, I don't know if I wanna do school, right? But then I was seeing the engagement rate on my Facebook group, and I was like, okay, nobody's really engaging, nobody's really following, nobody's really helping people, nobody's really clicking on the link that I wanted to click for a special training. So on Facebook, you get me? And I don't know if it was because of the Spanish market, but I had like 3,000 people in there and engagement was down. So then I made the switch to school, but I was like, okay, I don't know about this. So I did it. And was probably the best decision I made for the community that I was trying to build, people there to actually help each other. Um, the ranking, leveling up in ranking, they get different bonuses now. So now I set it up so people have to engage. And that's what I loved about it. And like I said, you have to have an open mind with different things. And it's gonna, either be good or be bad, but at least you tried it and you implemented it.
Yeah, and that's a great transition into what's the solution, right? If somebody's listening to this podcast, what can they expect? There's maybe someone out there listening to this podcast right now is like, all right, Brian and Andre, this seems very authentic and real. So what should I expect? Right? If I do decide to jump into a course, what should I expect? And it could be ours or it could be somebody else's. And I think you just gave a perfect example of what you should expect. A course is going to keep you from starting with GrooveFunnels. Now I'm using that metaphorically, but it's going to keep you from starting with ClickFunnels Classic when they got 2.0, when you can just go to system. You know what I mean? A course is going to introduce you to new ideas. And what I mean by that is you jumped on school because I jumped on school and you're like, Brian, what do you think? And I was like, hey, we might have something here. So that saved you time. You didn't have to look for another community solution. Obviously you're not paying me to be here. We're here as peers and equals and partners, but you had the opportunity to talk to me, someone who went first. And that's what we as course creators are. And believe it or not, that's what we as affiliate marketers are, is we're out here trying to be leaders. And if you're an affiliate marketer, especially for an education program, you're a leader. You have to become a leader. And what that means is you go first. So the fastest way to accelerate your results is to learn from another leader. That way you can become a leader. So you can build your audience. And when you learn to lead your audience, however big or small that may be, that's when money comes in, right? It's not about buttons and clicks and links. It's when you lead your audience by going first and then taking what you learned and what you discovered and sharing that in order to save them time and accelerate the result. It's like a coaching tree in the NFL football, where this coach had these 3 assistant coaches working under them, and then these 3 assistant coaches become head coaches somewhere else. And then they have
Mm-hmm.
assistant coaches working under them, and some of those assistant coaches end up becoming head coaches somewhere else. They all lead back to this original guy, whether that be the Bill Belichick or whoever else that you like in the coaching world. That's what we are. You're the assistant coach right now. And we're trying to build you up to the point where you can become a head coach somewhere so you can build your own assistant coaches, either through your own programs or your affiliate programs. That's how you have to view it. And that's how you have to look at the potential return on a course is like, let's say you want to be a head coach. What's the fastest path? Is it to go be a head coach somewhere? No, nobody's going to hire you. Nobody's going to listen to you. If you want to be a head coach, the fastest path is to go become an assistant coach. And that's kind of a weird metaphor that I just came up with that I never thought about in the history of my life, but it kind of makes sense, right?
It makes 100% sense. I mean, you can be the mentor if you haven't be a student first, right?
Right.
You get me? So it's like you need to go through the ladder. You need to build yourself up. Right now, when I get students and they tell me, I want to create my own thing, I'm like, go do it. You get me? Create it, create your own membership site, do it. Do it. I love when my students want to evolve their marketing into the next level, right? What's the next? What's next? What's the next level?
Mhm.
I'm like, go ahead. This is exactly what I teach. You can also implement it and model everything that I'm doing into your own program. So yeah, that's a great metaphor, Brian. I mean, you want to be a head coach, you need to be an assistant coach first. You want to be an assistant coach, you need to learn the sport first. You get me? Like you could be a player first. You get me? So you build up the ranks, and it works. I mean, just how before I had my YouTube channel in English too. I created my YouTube channel. I started doing tutorials. Now, guess what? All the people that kind of follow me wanted to do a YouTube channel as well. And it's just like you say, we're in a leadership position, so people wanna emulate what you're doing, because they see that you're successful, right? Same with us with this podcast. There's other podcasts that are probably gonna come up in the future, and I think a couple people starting to do podcasts as well. Might be because of us, who knows? But they're seeing how we're able to do so much and at the same time enjoy it. That's kind of weird, because I feel like I have so many projects, I have so many things that I have to do, and I get it done every week, but I enjoy doing it. That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, the work will always be there, but you got to do the work anyways. You may as well enjoy it, I think is the line. And so
Exactly.
so I think maybe to close this out, the big piece of advice is, I love it. You want to be a head coach? Okay. Start by going and throwing the football around in the backyard, right? That's practicing the skills. That's going through the training. Then after you've gone through the training and you've thrown the football in the driveway or the backyard, you've played catch, and maybe you get into a pickup game. Now maybe you're to the point where you can become a player, right? And then hopefully you're getting paid at that point, and you're working around, and then your time as a player comes around. It's like, okay, now I'm an assistant coach, and that's when you're a leader. An assistant coach is someone who doesn't have their own program necessarily, but they are an advocate, or they're using a program that was built. Like when I used Legendary Marketer as my affiliate product, I was still in the leadership position. People were still looking to me for answers, but I was an assistant coach at that point. And then you go out and
Yeah.
create your own program a couple years down the road. That's when you're the head coach. And you have other people, like you said, with your community and your group. And I have the same people in mind. They're out there now, they're asking questions. All right, I want to do my own thing. And that's exactly what they're doing, is they're just emulating what I have built. And they're going to go out there, and it's going to be probably terrible in the beginning because they're not ready to be a head coach, but they're an assistant coach, or they're working their way to become a head coach, or maybe they're getting a crappy job as a head coach that nobody wants, but eventually they'll be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I feel like the assistant coach plays an important role as well into the head coach. You get me? Because they're probably the ones that bring the ideas to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he is the one that approves it or denies it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But all the ideas of the playmakers, the teams, who's gonna play, who's gonna not play, I feel like the assistant coach has a lot to do with that, because the head coach is thinking about the big picture. The assistant
Mm-hmm.
coach is thinking about how do we get there, how can
Mm-hmm.
we get there as well. So I think that's really important. Another example is with at least with soccer, right? There was a player, his name is Xavi, and he was coached by the best coaches that you can find in soccer in Europe, right? And if throughout the years he played in Germany, he played in Spain, he played in England, he played everywhere. I don't know if he played in Italy, but he played in all those big countries because soccer is so big over there. So he learned from every single head coach, and those coaches have won championships, like multiple championships. And then it came a year where he retired as a player, right? And then he himself became a head coach. But since he has so much experience working with all these head coaches that have won champions after champions after champions, he ended up being undefeated for the Germany Cup, right? For the whole league. He was undefeated. And when you interview the head coaches that have coached him in the past, they see the patterns. Well, of course, he was gonna do well because he was coached by A, B, C, D. He's won in Germany, he's won in Spain, he's won in Italy, he's won in England, and it's just like all the experience that he got. It worked because now look at him. He's undefeated. He has the record for many games without a loss. He has a holding record right now for everything, and he's a beginner as a head coach right now. So it just blows my mind. Like the all the experience. You can purchase so many courses, you can purchase so many coachings, so many mentors, and not all of them are going to be great, but you have learned a little bit from each one of those. And when you get it's your time to become the head coach, then you're going to be further out along than somebody that didn't put in the work or they didn't learn from other people.
Yeah, I mean, if you wonder how, I mean, I'm sure he's one of the youngest coaches in the league or whatever. Well, how do you become that? Are you just naturally gifted? No. He went out and he learned from all of the best. And I think an important thing to consider here is he saw success with all the best, meaning he went out there and he won with each program. And that's the same thing you can do as a good student is go out there and join a program and make some money with it. And then if you want to go learn from another great head coach, go out there and make some money with it, and so on and so on. And if you do that, right, there's no shortcuts in life. If you do that, then eventually you can go out there and you become, and I use the youngest metaphorically because if you're starting when you're 50, obviously you're never going to be the youngest successful digital marketer, but you could get to the point where you're considered a leader or whatever that number is from you, 5 figures a month, 6 figures a month, more quickly than a lot of people who are surrounding you.
Exactly. You know what, Brian? I don't even know how we do it. Before this episode, we had no idea what we are gonna talk about, and now we're like rambling for an hour, giving actual tips, actual things that people can work on, right? And our mindset, our mentality. So it's always great to talk to you, Brian.
Yeah, another great episode in the books. And that's what's cool about it. The more you do something, the easier it gets. Like you said, we didn't know what we were going to talk about when we got together this morning. And we came up with an idea, and we had a big enough body of knowledge and experience to I think, make it work here today. And that's really what the point that everyone should strive to get to is, when people ask me about content ideas for affiliate marketing, I'm like, dude, I don't know. I mean, it's all up here, but that takes time. And that's where you should strive to get, because once you get to that point, it really does become pretty easy and as you said, pretty enjoyable as well.
Exactly. Well, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you check us out on YouTube as well. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week on the next episode of the Evolve Marketing Podcast.